Hi everyone. So I just wanted to make this video to introduce myself as well as to show you the syllabus for our class and the Canvas for our class and just get you kind of acquainted with how things are going to work. So if I haven't met you before, my name is Anna and I'm going to be your instructor for Math 142 Pre-Calculus 2 this quarter. I'm sorry that I'm not going to get to meet you in person, but hopefully this will still be able to be a good learning experience. So just give a little background about myself. So my name, like I said, is Anna. You can just call me Anna. You don't need to call me Miss Schindler or anything like that. So I have been teaching at North Seattle College for about 2 years now, and I like it a lot. And in my free time, I generally like doing stuff outdoors. Like I really like rock climbing and running and hiking. Obviously haven't been able to do so much of that stuff lately, but hopefully by summer things will be better. So I want to basically, I'm going to kind of go back and forth between looking at our syllabus and looking at the Canvas for our class and just tell you both about some of the important class policies. And then also, I think more importantly, just show you how everything looks and how it's going to kind of work. So I'm going to use the syllabus as kind of an outline for what we're going to talk about. I'm not going to go over every detail of it. I definitely still recommend reading through it yourself, but I'll go over kind of like the greatest hits. So first thing, just kind of going chronologically, the first thing here is my office hours. So office hours are going to be held through something called Canvas conferences. So basically, when the office hours are starting, you will get an email or a Canvas notification telling you that you can join the conference. And I'll also show you on Canvas how you can navigate to the conferences. So those are going to happen from 11 to 11:50 a.m. So that's like what would normally be our class time if this was meeting in person on Tuesdays and Fridays. And if you need help outside of those times, we can always set up a conference, like a one-on-one conference outside of those times. Just send me an email and we can figure that out. So office hours are totally optional, but they're a great place to just ask if you have questions on the homework or anything else that, that you want to ask. So the textbook for this class, I have it right here. It's called Pre-Calculus, Mathematics for Calculus, and it's by Stewart, Redlin, and Watson. So I'm not going to require that you have the book because I'm not going to assign questions directly out of the book or anything like that. I do recommend having it because I think it's a good resource to be able to kind of follow along and see some extra examples and things like that. What I would say is if you're going to get the book, there's really no reason to go out and buy like the newest version, brand new, spend all the money on that. You could just look for an older edition. If you Google it and find like a PDF online, you're welcome to use that. It doesn't really matter what version of the book you have. It's just a good idea to have it as a resource, basically. I feel like there was something else I was going to say about that. Now I'm forgetting what it was. I'll stop there for now. Okay, so this class is going to be basically a continuation in some ways of 141, but in a lot of ways it's actually really different. So we're mostly going to be talking about something called trigonometry in this class, and we'll get into that a little bit later this week, what that actually is. But just know it's going to be kind of different. There's going to be some geometry. It's just going to have a slightly different kind of flavor than the classes that you've probably taken before this. So the class structure this class is going to be completely online, and you're not going to be expected to be online at any specific time. So aside from the office hours or like the due dates of the homework and stuff like that, you're welcome to kind of do this stuff at your own pace. So what I'll be doing is posting each week 5 videos, and I'm going to shoot for 20 to 30 minutes on those videos, as well as a worksheet. And so the expectation is that you could do it Monday through Friday, for example, watch the video, do the worksheet, and then also do some of the homework each day. So I'll show you in a second where that shows up on Canvas. And then there will also be a weekly online homework assignment, which I'll show you. You'll just access that through Canvas. There will be a weekly quiz, and I'll tell you more about that later. And then there's going to be 2 midterm exams, and I'll get to the dates of that in a little bit, as well as a final exam. So all of this is going to be on Canvas, so it's really important that you check Canvas regularly and are familiar with the layout. So let me head to our Canvas and show you what that looks like. So the front page when you first log in should have basically some of the most important information from the syllabus you'll find here. It's like the kind of things that people typically will ask me questions about. I kind of just tried to put them all on this front page so that you can see them easily. And then I also put some helpful links down at the bottom, and we'll check some of those out a little bit later. So the main area you're going to want to go to in order to find stuff for the class is by going to modules. So under modules, it will be organized by week. So right now we're going to be in week 1. So if you click on the week 1 summary, it will tell you the schedule for each day. So kind of like which sections we're covering. And then also I'll tell you which online homework questions you should be able to do after each day. So I really recommend, and I'll show you the online homework in a little bit, I really recommend that you do the homework based on what I suggest here rather than kind of saving it all for one batch at the end. And then I also list out all the assignments and their due dates. And you can also see the due dates in Canvas, but just kind of all have it in one place. I also write it up for you here. So that's the summary. And then what you'll see is that there are 5 days. And I think I actually will probably relabel these as like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Doesn't mean you have to do them on those days, but just kind of as a suggestion. So Monday's video is just the one that you're watching right now. So there's not going to be any kind of a worksheet for that, but typically it will look more like what I have under day 2. So you'll have a video, then I'll upload some lecture notes, which is basically just like a PDF version of the video of the writing that I did on the video, and then also a worksheet to go along with it. Down here you'll find assignments, so this is the homework, and then there's also a couple of extra things this week, which I'll tell you about a little later. There's also discussions, and again, I'll get into that a little bit later, and then there's information about the quiz. So all of that stuff is under the week 1 module. Okay, so let's go back to the syllabus. So I'm not going to linger on this, but you can find here the breakdown of what is worth what percentage, all of that, as well as how I calculate your GPA. I'm not sure why I need to fix this. This says textbook and WebAssign. It should not say WebAssign. That's kind of a leftover from the last time I taught this class. So we already talked about the textbook. So calculator. So in this class, you're definitely going to want to have access to some sort of scientific calculator. So a scientific calculator will allow you to evaluate trigonometric functions, which is going to be really important in this class. If you don't have like an actual concrete scientific calculator, there are plenty of apps out there. So I put a link on the syllabus that will list out some possible apps that you could download. There's also one online, and I linked this on the home page. So here I said scientific calculator. It's actually run by Desmos, so it's through Desmos. You can just click there. My internet's slow, so sorry about that. It's pretty intuitive. It kind of looks exactly like what it would look like if you had an actual handheld calculator. And then also we'll sometimes be using graphing stuff. So Desmos is a really nice website that allows you to graph functions. It's kind of like a graphing calculator. You can either get it as an app or you can just go to desmos.com. So I will sometimes be asking you to do that like on homework assignments and stuff like that. Generally, unless I otherwise tell you, you're not really allowed to use Desmos or a graphing calculator on quizzes and exams. So I'll be writing questions in a way that basically you're not intended to use Desmos or anything like that. Okay, so online homework. So online homework is generally going to be due on Sundays at 11:59 p.m. So basically just trying to give you all the flexibility to finish this stuff for the week in whatever time schedule makes sense for you. So the online homework will usually have 20 to 25 practice problems that are based on the lectures for that week. And like I said, I break down on that introduction area on the modules. I tell you kind of which questions you can do each day so that you can use the homework. The intention of the homework is to practice what you're learning that week. So it's a really good idea to do it close to when you learn it so that you're getting that practice. And so if you want to turn in your homework late, there is such thing as a late pass, and I'll show you where that is when we go look at the online homework in a second. There will be 3 late passes to use throughout the quarter, and each one extends your deadline by 48 hours. So let's go look at the online homework. So that will be in the modules section. So go to homework 1. So the first time you do it, it's going to ask you to enter your name. It's already synced with your Canvas, so it doesn't matter if you write, if you write like your nickname, it's still gonna match up with your account. So they redid this online homework system recently, by the way. So if you've used this in the past, it looks probably a little bit different than what you're used to, but it's basically the same. So this is what the online homework looks like. Oftentimes, some of the questions have these help videos with them. I don't make the videos, and I don't really choose, which questions have videos and which ones don't. I just kind of leave them there because I think they might be helpful. I would definitely say, though, when you're doing the online homework, don't just watch the video right away. Please try the problem yourself first. Otherwise, you're really kind of robbing yourself of the experience of figuring something out yourself. So the videos are there to help you, but don't, abuse them, basically. If you need to use a late pass, and actually they may have changed the setup of this. So I thought I was going to show you how to apply a late pass, but now let's see, maybe if I go back, no. Well, I'll get back to you on how to use the late pass. I used to know where the button was for the late pass, but I'm not seeing it here right now. So I'll let you all know how that works. Basically, you should see somewhere a button that says apply a late pass. It might just not be showing it because it's not past the due date yet, but I'm not exactly sure. I'll get back to you on that. Okay, so back to the syllabus. So participation. So this is something that is different. If you've taken classes with me before, this is something that's new. So because it's an online class, I do want there to be a participation component. So I'm going to make a discussion board. And so basically every week, and we'll see that this first week is a little different because I'm going to have 2 discussion questions, but most weeks you're going to need to post 2 questions or 2 answers in order to get credit for participation that week. Or you could ask 1 question and 1 answer. And I'll get into in a moment, like what types of questions, like what do I mean by that? But basically, if you do those 2 posts by Sunday at 11:59 p.m., you'll get the points for participation for that week. So let me show you what that looks like. So that's back in the module section. So this week there's an extra discussion, so I'll show you that in a second, but this is what it will typically look like. So there will be a discussion posted like this, and you can just hit reply and post a question. And so when I say post a question, I mean like the type of question that maybe you would ask during class, or a question that you might ask during office hours. Basically anything about like the material for that week. You can ask questions about the homework. What I would ask is that I'm not going to count it for participation if you ask a question that is like, when is this thing due? Or how do you use Canvas to do this? It needs to be a question that's actually about math in order for you to get credit for it. The other thing that I would ask is that if you're going to ask a question from the homework, make sure that you've actually tried the question yourself and that you're asking a question. Like basically, I just don't want you to ask a question that just says, how do you do number 5? I want to see more thought than that. So if you're asking a question about the homework, you should be able to say, I tried this and it didn't work. Does anyone know what I'm doing wrong? Or, I don't, something that basically just shows a little bit more thought than just saying, how do I do this problem? And then similarly, if you're answering someone else's question, then don't just tell them the answer, try to point them in the right direction in a way that you're not just like handing them the answer directly. It should really be kind of a discussion and not just a give me the answer kind of situation. So most weeks, like I said, you'll have to do 2 of these things. So either ask 2 questions, answer 2 questions, ask a question, answer a question, however you want to break it up. This week, it's a little bit different because I wanted to throw in an introduction as well. So this week you only have to ask or answer 1 question, and that will count for 1 point for participation. And then to get the other point for participation, I would like you to just make a post introducing yourself to your classmates. So basically just tell them, I suggested a few things here. I said your name, your major or program, and then something you like to do in your free time. If there's something else you want to share about yourself, or if you don't want to share all of that, that's fine. Basically just something so that when you're all helping each other out and asking and answering questions on these discussion boards, I want you to like know who each other are. So that's the reason for that. So that's the discussions. Let me go back to our syllabus. So quizzes. So the quizzes are going to be posted on Canvas. So again, in that same modules area. So I'll post a quiz. So currently when I click this, it's just going to tell you basically what's going to be on the quiz. But on Friday at 9 a.m., I will post the actual quiz. So there will be a link to a PDF of the quiz. And so you're going to want to click on that and download the PDF, complete the quiz, and then you're going to click this button that says Submit Assignment in order to upload your quiz. And I'll get into a little bit later like the details of how you want to like organize your work and stuff like that. But that's the general idea, is that 9 a.m. on Fridays, you'll see the link appear here, and then you have basically all day to submit the assignment. The quizzes are really not intended to take you all day. It's like a 15-minute quiz, at the longest, like maybe a little longer than the kind of quizzes I do in class, but it's really not going to be anything too crazy. The reason I'm giving you all day is because I don't want to assume that everyone is on the same schedule. With everything that's going on these days, I know that people's schedules might be a little bit different, so I want to just leave it open to you to do it at whatever time makes sense for you that day. So that's the quizzes. And also the quizzes will generally cover material from kind of like the first half of the week. Again, because I know you might be on a slightly different schedule, I'm gonna not put stuff from like the end of the week. It'll usually be stuff from like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday's lectures, more so than Thursday. And I will drop your lowest quiz grade. So I'm not going to drop your lowest homework grade. I know I've done that in the past, but I think with it being an online class, it's just really important that you keep up with the homework, because that's really the main way that you're kind of testing whether you understand this stuff. So, so I'm not going to drop your lowest homework grade, but I will drop your lowest quiz. Okay, so exams. So exams are going to be really similar to quizzes in terms of the format. So again, I'll post a PDF. You'll download that PDF and then you'll upload your answers. And similarly to the quizzes, I will post the exams at 9 a.m. and have them due by midnight or 11:59 p.m. And so the two dates are Friday, May 9th and Friday, May 29th. Put those in your calendar right away. If you have a conflict, let me know right away about that. So again, the midterms are not meant to be like a full day event. It's just to give you flexibility. So the midterms will probably be designed to take you about an hour. So similar to like an in-class test. The final exam, however, I will restrict it to being a specific time. So the final exam is going to be at our scheduled final exam time, which is Thursday, June 17th. Now, part of me feels like it's supposed to be the 18th. Let me check that. Sorry. June. Yeah, it's actually Thursday, June 18th. My bad. So Thursday is correct. I don't know why it says 17th. So from 10:30 to 12:30 p.m. So I will basically post the exam just a little bit before 10:30, and then I'll give you an extra like half an hour to get your exam uploaded. So again, put that in your calendar. Let me know right away if you have a conflict. So in terms of submitting the quizzes and exams, so like I said, I'll be posting a PDF of these things on Canvas. You will, if you can, print the PDFs. That would be really nice. It would just kind of make it an easier format for me to grade. I know not everyone has a printer, so it's totally fine if you can't print it. But if you don't print it, please just make sure your work is really organized and clear. I would just think about how many of these things I'm grading. It really adds up as soon as it becomes difficult for me to figure out what's going on. So please try to keep your work organized and make sure that I can tell which question you're answering where, especially when it comes to exams that have multiple pages. So you really need to show all of your work. That's going to be especially important for this online class, because I know that there's a lot of ways to cheat out there, and I'll get into that. So I'm really going to be focusing not just on do you have the right answer, but what does your work look like? Can you explain yourself? Can you show all the steps? So it's going to be really, really important that you show all of your work. So once you've written out your answers, the next thing is to take clear photos of your work. So there are some apps out there for your phone that kind of act as like a scanner that will make your photos just look like a little bit clearer and sharper and higher contrast. So those can be really nice. You don't have to use one of those. What I am going to require, and this is different if you took last quarter with me, this is a new thing. I'm going to require that you compile all of your photos into a PDF. So there are plenty of free conversion tools. There's probably apps you can get on your phone. I linked one of them in particular on the home page here. So if you go to the homepage on Canvas, I linked something called Convert Files to PDF. So ignore this start free trial thing, that's like just an ad, but here you just basically upload files, and you can upload multiple files. So if you have like 10 photos of all the pages of your final, you upload all of them and it'll put them all together into one PDF. And so again, the reason I'm doing that is that it really adds up when I have to scroll through a bunch of different photos. So it'll just make it a lot cleaner and nicer if everyone just has one PDF. So I'm actually restricting the types of files you can upload on Canvas. So you need to upload a PDF or else it won't accept it. So if you're having issues with that, try it out. If you're confused about it, definitely let me know sooner than later so I can help you get that sorted out. Okay, and then, yeah, and I showed you already on the quiz, there's just like a button that shows that where it says submit, and that's where you're going to, here, submit assignment. So it'll be similar on the exam. Okay, so before I get into this next part, which is my kind of spiel, I just want to show you a few things specific to this week, and there's one thing in particular that's really important, so make sure if you've kind of tuned out, if you're watching this in the background, please pay attention to this next part. So most of the stuff that we talked about was stuff that's going to happen every week. This week, there's a couple of extra things. So one thing is this introduction survey. So if you've taken a class with me before, same deal as usual. I'm just asking you for some information about yourself. That's just nice for me to have all in one place. I also ask you to upload proof of your prerequisite. So in order to take 142, you have to have had a 2.5 or higher in 141, or have taken the placement test and placed into 142. So I am going to be checking that, and I am going to be dropping students who don't satisfy that. We have a wait list for this class, like a pretty substantial wait list, so I really want to make sure that, that everyone has the prerequisites. So let me know right away if you have any questions or concerns about that. And then there's also the syllabus quiz. So basically it's going to go through some stuff from the syllabus just to kind of make sure that you either watch this video and or actually read the syllabus to know what all the different policies and important dates and stuff like that are for this class. So the important thing that I wanted to tell you is that, so typically at North Seattle College, there's a policy where you have to go to class the first week of class or else the instructor can drop you from the class. And the reason that's a thing is because we don't want to have students on our roster who are not actually in the class. Every quarter, at the end of the quarter, there's like a few students who just stopped ever showing up, or maybe they never showed up. So we basically just want to avoid that. So obviously that's not going to happen this quarter because we're not meeting in person. So I'm going to use the introduction survey and the syllabus quiz as like my check to make sure that you're actually active in the class. So if you do not complete the introduction survey and the syllabus quiz by Friday, which is when they're due, Friday, April 17th, I will send you an email and ask you what the deal is. And if I don't hear back from you in 24 hours, I will drop you from the class. And so the reason I'm doing that is because, again, there is a wait list for this class. And because it's an online class, it's really important that students actually can get into and access the class sooner than later. So please do those. They will only take you like 10 minutes at the most each. So it's really not a big deal. Just do them right away, get them done. That way I can make sure I know who is in the class and who is not. Okay, so that's specific stuff to this week. And then there's just a little bit more stuff to talk about. And if you've taken classes with me before, you've probably heard me say a lot of this, but please do listen. And there's some stuff that I have to say that's a little bit more specific to online classes. So I'd appreciate if you still listen to the rest of this video. So first thing I like to talk about is my teaching philosophy, which is basically just, what do I believe as a teacher, and like, why do I do things the way I do? So the first thing is that I believe that math is about understanding and not just memorizing. Of course, there will be things that you have to memorize in math. That happens in every class. However, I just really try not to make that the emphasis. If I give you something, a formula or something like that, I always show you where it comes from. I don't want to just give you stuff to memorize. And then in the way that I make the homeworks and the exams, I'll be kind of testing you on your understanding and not just can you memorize. And again, that goes back to this whole showing the work thing, right? I'm going to ask questions where you have to explain your reasoning, show all your work, stuff like that, so I can make sure you really understand what you're doing. Second point is really, really important, and it's especially important for an online class. So math is not a spectator sport. So I think it's really easy to think that you can learn something just by, watching, but it just doesn't work that way. Like, imagine you wanted to learn how to play guitar. You could pull up a gajillion YouTube videos of people playing guitar. They could walk you through everything. You could watch hours and hours and hours of them. And would you know how to play guitar if you didn't pick it up yourself? Of course not. You have to actually try. And anyone who's ever tried to play guitar knows it. There's so much stuff so much subtlety that like you wouldn't get by just watching someone. You have to feel it for yourself. And it's the same deal with math. If you're just watching, if you just kind of go to the YouTube videos I post and just kind of put them on in the background while you do something else, you're really not going to learn the material. So it's going to be really, really important that you do the worksheets that I post. Those are not like supplemental. Those are part of the classroom experience each day. So together, the worksheet and the video together, that represents like one classroom session. So together, the two of them should take you maybe like 45 minutes to an hour, like a regular class length. So the other thing in that same vein is that this isn't going to be an easy class. I think for a lot of people, for everyone, there's some math class you hit along the way where it's the one where you're like, oh wait, like suddenly this doesn't feel so easy anymore. Even people who have like done really well in every math class, there will be some math class that you hit where you're like, this is a little different. This is a little weird. And for a lot of people, that's actually this class. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm just saying that because I don't want you to think there's something wrong with you if you find this material challenging. Like I said, it is really different from some of the stuff that you've seen in the past. And it's going to take a lot of focus and work and effort and time to understand this stuff. So, be willing to put in that time and don't be hard on yourself if you're not understanding things right away. Be patient and, realize that sometimes you just have to put in the work. It's not like everyone either understands it or they don't. Of course, there's a middle ground. And if you're in that middle ground, you can put in the work and get yourself to the point of understanding. So last point, and this is maybe a little bit different now that we're not meeting in person. So math is collaborative. I really believe in like talking to each other and making math be something that's not just like you watching a video alone in your room. So that's going to be harder to achieve online. In person, I like to do group work and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that the discussion board will at least give you a chance to like talk it out with people virtually. And I encourage you to, get to know your classmates and communicate with each other in whatever way, even though we're not meeting in person. Okay, so one more important thing, again, related especially to online classes. So the internet is great, right? The internet you can figure out how to do like anything on the internet, including there's a lot of resources for math out there, a lot. And for the most part, I think that's really great. I think it gives you a lot of opportunities to learn independently. However, you need to make sure that you're using the internet in a responsible way. So the most important thing to me, and hopefully to you, is that you're actually learning. When you take a class, you want to learn the material that's included in that class. And if you're going and just kind of looking things up before trying them yourself, if you're doing your homework by just, going to Chegg and typing everything in and going that route without trying it yourself, you're not going to learn it. You might be able to get through this class and get a good grade in this class, but you're going to run into trouble somewhere down the line, probably in your next math class. So it's really, really important that every time you're using the internet to help you, pause and think like, is this actually helping me learn, or is it kind of preventing me from learning? So just be responsible with it. You need to be willing to kind of put in the hard work before you just go and look something up. So that's kind of a more like a personal thing, personal growth, like being able to learn. But the other thing is that on exams and quizzes, you are not allowed to use the internet or communicate with each other. I'm not going to be there when you're doing the quizzes and exams, so I'm not going to see exactly what you do, but I will be really looking for things that seem suspicious. I'll be asking to see all of your work. I'll be looking to see, is this the same method that I taught them, or is this some random thing that they copied from Chegg or something else? I'll be looking for things like that. You also are not allowed to communicate with each other during the exam, so I'll be looking to see if things are too similar. I'm not going to be afraid to give zeros on these assignments. So please, be respectful to yourself and to your classmates and to me, and just don't cheat. Yeah, and I have access to a Chegg account, so I can just look up questions and compare side by side and see if you're copying from there or not. So one more thing I want to point out, or maybe two more things, and then the rest of this, I'll leave this to read yourself. So getting help. So I already mentioned I have office hours twice a week, every week. Other thing you can do is you can send me an email. So my kind of like regular work hours this quarter are going to be 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So if you send me an email during those times, Monday through Friday, I will get back to you as quickly as I can. If you email me outside of those hours, it might take me a little bit longer to get back to you. Just because everyone's working from home, that doesn't mean that I'm going to be like sitting on my computer waiting for your email 24/7. So try not to just email at the last minute about things, basically. Other things is there's a discussion board. So I know, that's something that you're doing for points, but you can also just use it when you have a question. And then the Math Learning Center has virtual tutoring. So let me just show you that real quick. So on the homepage, I have a link to it. So Math Learning Center virtual tutoring. So it's the same tutors they normally have, but they're doing tutoring through Zoom, which is like an online meeting schedule. So basically, I think you just go to this scheduling page and basically just join a session from there. So basically same stuff that you'd get from the normal Math Learning Center, but just online. I think that was it for getting help. Last thing, so if you have a disability and you get accommodations, so like extra time, things like that, so you still can contact disability services. You can't obviously go in there in person, but I still would ask if you're gonna ask for extra time on stuff, that you go through disability services and get a letter of accommodation the way that you normally would. So if you click the link on here, that will give you their email address, their phone number, and you can talk to them that way. So I think that's about all I wanted to tell you. Yeah, so definitely don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the quarter, and I will see you in my next video.